Hey guys, before we get started, I would like to say to Birkin, I'm very sorry. I don't know what's happening with YouTube, but YouTube are hiding some of my comments or deleting them. I don't know if they're deleting them. I had to dig a lot of them out of the spam folder and there's nothing left in there. And yeah, feel free to send me an email if you can't comment on my videos, please. Again, I really apologize. It's not my doing. I don't know where they're going, but I checked the spam folder and the hold folder, and now I've allowed all comments without any restrictions at all. So yeah, I really do apologize, guys, if they're deleting your comments. The only other way I can suggest to do it at the moment, because I've tried everything I could to work out what is going on, I honestly don't know what's happening. Also, if you were subscribed, just check that you still are, because even that's like it's growing, but they're dropping off sometimes too. So just check and make sure that you are subscribed if you want to be subscribed. And I've got an update on the fires. Very, very important, guys. You have to see this. Not only that, I want to show you this. Now I'm going to keep interrupting. I will put the link in the comments below of this video. It's from Sky News Australia. This is very, very interesting. Not only do we have fires at the moment, I actually spoke to a person from Sydney Water a couple of days ago, and I asked them why we were on water restrictions when businesses and overseas corporations are allowed to take our water. Now, this person, all they could say to me was they have exemptions and that's why they're allowed to take water. And she did say to me, I explained a few things to her, and says it's not fair that we're on water restrictions while companies and corporations are allowed to go for it with stealing our water. Canada has parts of our water. China has a load of our water. And they own half of our land, or most of our land as well. There are places in Australia where you walk into and you can't read the shop signage. And I mean whole suburbs of this. Nothing against any Chinese or any Canadians or anyone, honest to God. It's not you guys. It's your governments and your corporations that are doing it. It's not you guys. I understand that. I love you guys. Don't worry. It is all of our governments. And I'll show you why they are allowed to do this. Okay, I'll interrupt, but watch this, guys.
We asked Helen to join us tonight. Remember, she's a farmer. Since being elected, she's met with and written to several ministers suggesting very sensible policy changes that would save irrigation jobs without damaging the environment. She's met the response that you get in viewer land and listener land. She's ignored. Here she is, a breath of fresh air, Helen. Lovely to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Tough stuff, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
I note that you asked the Premier of New South Wales in Parliament this week, last week, Gladys Berejiklian, whether parliamentarians shouldn't have to disclose their water ownership. And you asked, basically, the Premier, given the New South Wales water crisis, your words, and current investigations into water trading and water corruption, will the Premier explain why state members of Parliament don't have to declare their water ownership? Before you answer that question, coming to Peter, federal...
1 second, guys. I'm so sorry to stop that, but I have to keep stopping it, I think, or I might get a copyright strike. I just wanted to say something. We are in a drought as well. Not only do we have water restrictions, that's why we have water restrictions, because we're in a drought. And our farmers are desperate. Some of our farmers are committing suicide. Some of them have to kill all their cattle. And these cattle are like, but they love their animals, you know? They don't... This is so unfair, guys. I'm just going to continue playing it.
Likewise, there are federal parliamentarians, I'm told, who own water.
And it wouldn't be specific on their disclosures that they would have to own up to a water right. I have to say, I have concerns that some recently departed federal MPs, and probably some still in the Parliament, own water.
And that's your concern, Helen?
Absolutely.
Because you're up front, you say I own water.
That's right, I did. And when I saw the form to fill in, when I joined Parliament, I just thought, there was no obligation to actually disclose my water interests at all.
And the Premier didn't answer your question?
No, she said that, well, basically she said that we should trust politicians.
Are you kidding me? We should trust politicians? Oh my goodness. Every politician we've ever had has stood up in front of us before elections and said, oh, we'll do this, oh, we'll do... I'm sure all of you have had the same thing. We're going to do this and we're going to do that, and then they get in and do nothing. You know what? Them owning water, and look, what this can do is create a false scarcity to drive the prices up, and they make a lot of money. I'll continue.
Yes, you said the water market, you've said, is an unregulated disgrace. We know there are people who have an interest in keeping water scarce and prices high. They're making millions off the misery of drought-stricken farmers.
Absolutely.
And you don't know, and I don't know, and Peter doesn't know which of these politicians own water. Then you've got these private water holders, this Duxton Water, who own enough water to fill a warren or a dam.
That's right.
They don't own a tablecloth of land.
That's right. And, of course, all the foreign interests too. So we know a lot of that a lot of land and water is owned by foreign entities, corporations, and that's a big concern.
You also raise this question of the manufacturer Bellamy's being the sale of it being approved to a Chinese company. And you said this is a long sequence of events, the sale of important Australian assets to overseas investors. And you gave a speech on how government is, quote, making decisions about foreign purchases in secrecy. And you said the coalition in the last 30 years have successfully portrayed themselves as strong at protecting our borders, strong at putting Australian interests ahead of those of foreigners. But then you said this is a brilliant sentence, but protecting our borders should be about more than just stopping sick refugee children from presenting at Australian hospitals. It means protecting Australian land, Australian jobs, Australian water, Australian farms, Australian heritage, and the Australian way of life. Absolutely. On that score, the coalition has failed.
Absolutely. So,
guys, this is disgraceful. We need to demand to know who these people are. And did you know that Australia does have a constitution? It has early 1900s constitution, which says in it that no one is allowed to own the water. It is for the people. We need to get back to the constitution, guys. We have a lot of protection in that, and you need to know about it. If you can, go and look up the Australian Constitution for Dummies. I know the name says that, but I went and watched it and thought that was the best thing I had watched, to be honest. Please go and watch it. The Australian Constitution for Dummies. The Magna Carta covers this. It's in there. We have more rights than you think, guys. We could stand up and take our government back because we have the right by our constitution to kick out the bloody government. And if they're doing this, oh my God.
How many people in the Parliament in the chamber when you made this speech?
Probably about 3 or 4.
And no reaction?
No, well, I think that, you know...
But in the electorate, what's the reaction?
A lot. Absolutely. So we put it up on the Facebook and people are tuning in on it, and it's been shared, I don't know how many times, but it's certainly resonating within the community and also outside of the electorate of Murray too. I get a lot of people coming in and commenting about what's happening. People are fed up, absolutely, and we're in a lot of trouble.
Talking about fed up, the drought.
We really are in a lot of trouble. We really are, guys. We need to start looking to the Constitution. The more people that do it, the more they can't ignore it, because you know what they've been trying to do? They have been ignoring it, and every government we've had since Gough Whitlam has been illegitimate. Our councils are illegitimate. Their laws are illegitimate. Really, they used to teach the Australian Constitution in schools up to the early 1970s, and then they pulled it from the schools because they didn't want us to know what our rights are. This is all part of Agenda 21, guys. This is all part of it. Unless we go back to our Constitution, we're going to lose Australia. And I'll continue.
Package. Now, we opened tonight by saying the farmers are now presenting to me another concern that the public who are viewing us here might think, oh, well, hang on, the federal government gave $1 billion, what are you whinging about? When in fact, none of that money is going to be going to farmers at all. They don't want loans, they can't access the money, the forms are a mile high. And we've been advocating here to do for farmers what you do for students, have a farmer's HECS, let them actually run up that debt, and then they'll pay it back. They don't want anything for nothing, they'll pay it back with some interest when they've got some income. The farmers you talk to, how angry are they about the abandonment by them in Canberra?
Incredibly angry. In fact, so angry there's going to be a convoy to Canberra on the 2nd of December. People are absolutely distraught about what's happening.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, we've got animal activists and animal liberationists, and people are killing breeding stock, slaughtering breeding stock, aren't they, because they can't feed them?
And that's, farmers actually love their animals, and it just breaks their heart, absolutely.
Yeah, but the activists aren't unhappy about that because they want to see the end of farming.
Yeah.
But that.
Exactly. And most of it are vegan activists who want to see the end of farming. Now, I'm against factory farming. I think cattle should be allowed to roam, same as chickens, everything. It should all be allowed to roam freely, to have a good life. But I'm a meat eater, and I will eat the meat. But if we don't, we're not. Look, it's gotten to the point here in Australia where most of the Chinese own our milk. They own our dairy farms, and they're buying them because Australia's in a drought, more like a design drought. If you watch my previous videos on the weather, you can see that they are keeping the rain from hitting Australia, so it is drought by design. Mate, this is disgusting. I'm disgusted. I hope you are too. Look, it will get better by the end of the video, but at the moment, this is peeing me off. I'm quite upset. I'll continue.
To be honest, that's why they're not protesting about it. They want to see farming go out the back door. I mean, one of the things I worry about is, yes, there is a big role for the federal government here, but you're in the state parliament. There's a big role for the various state governments as well. And I look at Queensland and what's not happening with the Palaszczuk government. And I know there's a lot of unhappiness out your way in relation to the government here in New South Wales, the Berejiklian government. The states have got to lift their game as well.
Yeah,
we tend to let the states go.
Well, that's the point now. I was going to ask Helen that. That's the point now. Melinda Pavey's the Water Minister. She appeared before budget estimates at the beginning of the month. And she said New South Wales Water has the power, I'm looking at her words, to restrict the amount of water released under orders from the Commonwealth Environment Water Holder. And she said this woman had originally ordered, who's in charge of it, Jodie Swirapik, had ordered the release of 60 billion litres of water, which is more than a tenth of Sydney Harbour, from the Wyangala Dam for environmental flows, but the New South Wales Water had reduced that to 22 billion litres. So she said, oh, this is terrific. 60 billion, no. She said you can only release 22 billion. Why didn't she say release none and give this stuff to farmers who are in the middle of a drought?
Well, why?
He. Dear God.
We just find that they blame each other.
Yep.
So Melinda Pavey will blame the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth will blame the states. We can't seem to, land a hand on anyone or land a punch to find out who's actually calling the shots.
Also, The Constitution, again, would protect us from all this. They are not allowed to do what they're doing. And they're illegitimate. The whole government is illegitimate. We can stop this, guys. We just have to start teaching everyone what the Australian Constitution says. And I believe there might be two of them. I believe they've written one for the Corporation of Australia, which, if you don't know, we have the Commonwealth Government, and then we have like a Corporation of Australia, which is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So you, me, everyone in Australia, we're pretty much traded on the New York Stock Exchange. The Constitution could stop this, guys. We need to learn it, though. I'll continue.
Coming back to this point, Helen has been open. You own water. And you were astounded that when you went into the Parliament, you didn't have to declare
That's right.
your water entitlement, your water ownership.
No, there was no obligation. And really, when you look at the form, there isn't either. Because
Shouldn't we know who owns this water?
We should. It's actually an input into our production.
Do you think prominent people in government own water and are not saying so?
Absolutely.
Do you think there are prominent people not in government who own water?
Absolutely.
And they are able to trade in that water at the highest price to make money out of the impoverishment of farmers.
That's right. So they want, as I said before, they want water scarce, and it is very, very scarce now.
Do foreign governments own water?
I would think so. But we need, as part of the Water Act...
They own land, and if they haven't decoupled the water rights,
Correct.
they'll
The Sydney
own the water.
traders own water?
I would think so. So the 2007 Water Act actually says that there needs to be a water register, a transparent water register, where we can find out, who's got what. But at the moment, there are water registers, but it's only by a number. So if you had water, I couldn't look up your name. I'd have to know the number of your water licence, and then I could go back and see that it was you.
Well, just to explain to her how bad this is, there's an outfit called Duxton Water. They own entitlements to 74 billion litres of water. That's the equivalent of the Warrenora Dam near Sydney. $256 million, and they openly state their primary objective is to generate income. So basically the private sector is exploiting the crisis that farmers are facing and making a quid out of it.
Absolutely. Yes. That's
very
true.
And you're the only person speaking about it. And then you've got this...
Money, money, money. Must be funny, eh? Sorry, this is really peeing me off. You need to learn the Constitution, guys, because we can stop this. Sorry, I keep repeating myself, but it's pissing me off. I'm sorry to swear. Oh, it's not really swearing, but it is pissing me off.
National Water Initiative, which allows water to be owned separately from land. Now, you've said shouldn't be.
Well, it's that was separated about 20 years ago, and it's very, very... We think about ways of actually putting in some rules where if you do have water, that it's actually for production of food, and maybe, can only be traded once to the person. But
go back, Helen, you've been on the land a long time, right? I was in government, working in government, when the Murray-Darling Plan was initiated. And it was never meant to be like this. People in the bush were sold a pup. This is not what it was meant to be. And then later on came the decoupling. Now, farmers along the way have obviously sold their water rights on to a mob like Duxton. They've scooped them up, and we know why farmers do it, because their backs are against the wall and they've got no money coming in, and they've done that. But over time, you've got bankers in Sydney and Hong Kong controlling our water rights. How do we unscramble the egg? Now, how do we get us back to a situation where you can have viable farms using those water rights that have been there for, well over 100 years?
Well, I can answer that question.
How do we do that?
In Helen's answer. You buy back. The government tomorrow should buy back all those licences that have been issued to the private sector, buy them back and transfer that water to the farmers. Simple. Buy them back. I mean, you've got a situation, I was looking at it today, listen to this. Early this year, in 1 2-week period, 32,000 megalitres, that's 12,800 Olympic swimming pools of environmental flow was released to regenerate the wetlands in the Western Riverina.
And the people there are just up in arms. They are outraged. It's just terrible. And they're watching this water. It's actually destroying a lot of the forests Well, we know that the Barmah Millua forest is sitting in water, and that's because of environmental flows, and also for the other reason is they try and push water down the Murray, and it overflows. And
we'll just finish with one other stat, Helen. The government water buybacks are projected to total, this is from farmers, drought, are projected to total $13 billion. $13 billion to buy back from farmers, $13 billion, which would deprive irrigators of 1,300 gigalitres of water, which is 3 Sydney harbours. This woman's having something to say about it. Barilaro's having something to say about it. In Canberra, no one.
Yeah, but I'll go back to the point I'm making, Helen. What can we do about it? Because we've been talking about this issue as a country now.
Buy those licences back.
Years.
Like you do the submarine contract. Buy the contract out. It's a waste of money.
I don't believe you even have to do that. You just need to get back to the Constitution, and it's illegal for them to sell it in the first place. Oh my goodness.
Buy the licences back and then reallocate the water.
It's very complex, and bit by bit we need to actually, because the situation that we're in now has been, happening for 30 years. Bit by bit, little bits and pieces of changes, of rule changes, and then we've had the Water Act, and then they've, changed carryover and whatever, to the point where we've got to where we are now, where water is, being managed by people who don't understand.
Don't understand the land.
How disgusting is that, guys? How absolutely disgusting is that? And the 100 years he was talking about that we had our rights was the Constitution. So there you go. That is terrible, guys. Okay, now I've got something else to show you here. This is very, very interesting. This is the fires. Can you see here? Do you see what I see? I'll try and zoom in even more. Can you see that? What do you think that is? Directed energy weapons, anyone? See if we can find the next one. There you go. What is it? Where's it coming from? And it's not a fire-nado or like a fire tornado, because it wouldn't be so bloody straight. It would be windy and twisty, and that's not what this is, guys. Can you see it? It's right in front of us. Same thing as in California. And I believe the only reason you can see it is because it's going through the smoke. So I believe these fires are very much intentionally lit. And I also heard today that they're cutting trees down also, and that the New South Wales Premier, or politician, whoever's in charge in New South Wales, is going ahead with a high-speed rail. Regardless of the people, regardless of the Commonwealth. She is not waiting for anyone, she's doing it herself. What in the hell is going on here, guys? It's disgusting. It's wrong. It's criminal. Okay, to finish off tonight, I'm going to actually play something that's quite funny.
If you're by yourself, no worries. Just follow after me. Gonna do the two-step, then cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart and spin out with him. Hold down and get into it. Take it to the left now and dip with it. Don't throw down, take a sip with it. Now lean back, put your hips in it. Let's have some fun. To the left now. To the right, to the right. Now take your left hand and put it on your side. Put it on your side. Gonna roll your shoulders. Do the slip and slide. This next part's my favorite part. It's time to shine. Gonna do the two-step, then cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart and spin out with him. Hold down and get into it.
Hey guys, that was great. That's the Australian spirit for you, and the sense of humour. Okay, guys, have a good night and I'll talk to you soon.